when this kind of attack on security now, connecting to elections, I did ask him, look, doesn't it appear as though some people seem to be testing grounds or testing their resolve or testing certain things when they carry out certain attacks? Because some time ago in Kaduna, they said some terrorists had threatened politicians or some people in those areas, don't come here to campaign. Don't do certain things here. And that's been on for a while. Now, if you extrapolate that, one wonders, could that be, perhaps, should we take that seriously or how much so? Because we're approaching general elections. Now, if they're attacking these quote-unquote supposedly secure targets, they're softer targets. When people come out for elections or for campaigns, they don't have as much security as the areas that they've attacked now. So there could be some implications or otherwise that what happens if they attack all those areas and then in the build up to elections, they seem to frustrate the process. And then could we have a scenario in our hands where there will be no elections?
You know, in 2015, the Jonathan administration was compelled to postpone the election because the terrorists were occupying some local governments in Borno State. Right now, the terrorists are occupying places, local government in Samfara, in Katsina, in Borno and some other places in Niger State. Now, that's problematic. And during elections, if you have such a situation, there are candidates who may say, those are my catchment areas. So you can't go on with the election if you cannot secure the entire country. Wow. There will be a problem there. Right now, I mean, even for the primary, I know a candidate in Samfara who had to come to Abuja to campaign. He couldn't campaign in his state.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you had the recent election in Ekiti State where you had about 25,000 police men and women. That is not possible in a general election. No state is likely to have more than 5,000, police personnel during election. And they cannot secure some of the states today. And that is why people are worried. Because under the Constitution, if the country is waging a war, the election can be postponed. Not more than 6 months at a time. So there are problems already.
Do you see that happening?
Of course. Of course. And with all these multiple attacks, and the government is helpless, what do you think will happen? But again, this is where the National Assembly will have to come in.
Well, the National Assembly took a position on, excuse me, you're talking about local governments, took a position and recommended that local governments should be financially, excuse me, and administratively autonomous.
See, it goes beyond that.
Yes, but, if we had the governors agree and the Houses of Assembly pass the bills for the local government autonomy, wouldn't that be something? I also believe that the local government, the governors are averse to it.
See, it's been passed. In most federations, you really don't have autonomous local governments. But if, as it is in Nigeria, what is important here, before we divert, right? Because that's not the issue. Section 305 of the Constitution requires the president to declare a state of emergency in the situations we have found ourselves. And once that is done, the president will need the approval of the National Assembly. They have to ratify the declaration. And after 6 months, the president must go back to the National Assembly so that they can monitor the situation, review the situation, and decide whether to extend the state of emergency. But right now, it's all illegality that is going on. Without declaring a state of emergency, you are sending troops. No, the law didn't envisage that. The Constitution empowers the president to take extraordinary measures to protect and restore law and order in every part of the country. But that has not happened since 2015. Before then, President Jonathan was going to the National Assembly upon a declaration of a state of emergency, particularly in 3 states then, Borno, Adamawa, and I think Yobe. Now, we've gone to other parts of the country. So, in order to address these problems, the president must declare a state of emergency. The National Assembly must draw his attention to his powers under the Constitution and the limit of his powers. Now, you can't just send troops without a state of emergency to go and, stop a student protest or, send soldiers to Lekki. It's unknown to the Constitution.
Wait, will he be thinking about the answer he gave to British Prime Minister, who asked him if he was going to go for a 3rd term, and say, no, I don't want this to be interpreted as though I want to extend my term by declaring this is or allowing the election to be postponed? That's the president now.
Yeah, the president will, from what he has said, we must believe him, that doesn't want a 3rd term. In fact, the way he said it was that the man who asked for a 3rd term, has not recovered from the shame or the embarrassment. So I want to believe, but the crisis on ground, the president will have to take extraordinary measures.